All right, gentlemen, we have to do this very quickly, but there is a very important announcement that occurred over the past few days. It's all over the Twitter sphere. Warner Brothers Discovery and HBO Max have essentially combined forces. We heard about these rumors for quite some time, but they are officially revamping their streaming services into one. It is simply called Max. I'm going to give ourselves a bit of a time limit here because we are running pretty high on time. But what are our overall thoughts on this as far as it being a marketing strategy, how we feel like it's going to function, maybe even some of our thoughts on the additional announcements that came with this overall announcement, some of the content that's coming out. I guess first off, why is this a bad title? Let's start there.
It's a bad least SEO-friendly title of all time. It makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Also, it was the name of a movie about a dog.
And that's what I have to say about the title. Woof. It's bad.
No, it's bad. I actually have very little to say about this. All that I will say is Discovery a big enough entity to have this much weight to make Warner Brothers change the title of something at HBO? That's what I don't understand about all of this. Discovery?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
I think it depends on where some of that content lives, but I know that there are some shows that live within the world of Discovery that a lot of people really like.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of like the HGTV stuff. And
I was going to say the show Fixer Upper, for instance. I think that is a huge thing.
Probably, Jay, that's probably huge, bigger than any freaking show that's on HBO, honestly. Like, you know, we broke Jay.
Well, let's paint the picture for our audio listeners who might not be tuning in on YouTube, but Jay was literally hitting his head on his microphone so much that it actually temporarily broke the microphone stand. It just tipped over for a brief moment.
You know I'm right, Jay. Like, it's just they're viable markets.
It is huge. There's no doubt about it. But
yeah,
can't you just say that Fixer Upper is now on HBO Max as opposed to? I don't know why HBO is a deterrent for people to get the streaming service.
I don't know.
I think people know
either.
that it has stuff that isn't just HBO. People know that it has Friends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the thing about it is that drives me nuts. It's like you drop the HBO out of it and you put in Discovery. It's cleaner. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't add anything to suggest that Discovery now stuff is on what would be HBO Max, right, with this title. So that's why it's also stupid. You didn't even like try to do something new or different. But every one of the quote unquote announcements were for shows that would primarily would have released
on HBO Max.
Freaking HBO Max to begin with.
Well, and that's part of the marketing question
dumb.
I have. Like, the marketing question I have with this is that if HBO itself is that deterrent that you're talking about there, Jay, why still associate it as Max? Because the term Max has that direct tie to that same deterrent that you're talking about. So it's almost a contradictory announcement in that regard.
That's the name of a person, not a streaming service.
I mean,
I'd like Max Media or Max. I don't know, something. Max is such a stupid name.
Why not?
It's so stupid.
If you're Warner Brothers, why not call it something along the lines of Warner Brothers, for Christ's sake?
Warner Max? I don't know.
Warner Max or you know, just call it, you know, Warner WB Plus or whatever. I don't know, something better, because you know, you then can combine those. Like, I don't understand why, honestly, the most successful cable network of all time in one of the biggest brands in all of television is a deterrent from you wanting to sell your stuff, especially since most of the shows that they announced, shows that I thought looked pretty great. Like, I can't wait for The Sympathizer, and I can't wait for the new season of True Detective with Jodie Foster.
Yeah, I was going to ask everyone what we thought about some of the content announcements here.
I think, like, one, I bought the book for The Sympathizer. With the one with Robert Downey Jr. for Park Chan-wook. I'm gonna watch that.
That's gonna be sick.
I'm gonna watch that. That looks freaking great. The Kate Winslet show last time I watched it,
The Regime, I think it's called.
That looked like it could be fun, like a mini series or whatever. Like, I'm signed up for that. And that's good.
Barbie Dreamhouse Challenge, baby. That's what everyone's gonna be talking about.
Is there a new Fixer Upper spinoff?
Are they
The
there?
Hotel, I think it's called. It's like Fixer Upper the
Let's
Hotel.
go.
I mean, that new season of True Detective with Jodie Foster, like I mentioned, I'm really excited for that because it's not with Nick Pizzolatto as the
Mm-hmm.
one of the producers on it. It's, I think Barry Jenkins is one of the executive producers on the show. So
Oh, interesting.
so that's really interesting. But obviously, I know you guys talked about this last week. I want to get this off my chest. If that's okay, guys. I think this Harry Potter thing is one of the stupidest goddamn things I've ever seen. Like the reason why I think this is dumb, and it's kind of what you guys mentioned last week, but I think that this is important to mention. The reason why I think this is dumb is because take something like The Last of Us, for example. Okay.
Mhm.
The Last of Us was a game for only PlayStation users only. And it was for as popular as that game was, it still did not reach a mass audience. It wasn't as cultural phenomenon as it would be as a television show. Most of the people that watched that story or know that story know it from the TV show now first. And all the surprises and stuff that everybody played that game, it wasn't new to them. And that's what made the game special. So therefore, when you tried to spoil the show or anything or the similarities, it didn't affect the TV audience. Everybody knows the end of this goddamn story. This book is one of the most popular book series of all time. It is still to this day one of the top selling books every single year. The Harry Potter books. We
Yeah.
all know how this shit ends. There is nothing new to this story to add. You shouldn't be doing this 20 years after these movies.
Are they just
happened.
should you never adapt a book?
You shouldn't adapt it. What's the point of it, Jay? What is the point of this for this generation?
I don't disagree that there are certainly flawed intentions with this thing, but what you're saying is you shouldn't adapt something that people know the end to. That's what adaptation
I'm
is.
saying is that like when you give it more than 10 years after the last damn movie came out, give it at least, I don't know, 30, 40 years before you make this.
Especially when this property is still kind of embedded in the cultural zeitgeist of our current
Super
generation,
embedded.
and that's certainly part of it.
So many people are going to watch this show.
That's the thing. That's why they're doing
it will be
this.
more popular than The Last of Us, at least for the first season or whatever.
Yeah.
Before people, if it's bad, people will hop off. But
yeah,
it'll be more popular. It'll be their most popular thing since, and maybe more popular than Game of Thrones. Is what it will be.
The whole announcement for, I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. I don't remember if we talked about this specific aspect, but the actual announcement that they posted for it, they being the newly dubbed Max, and how it still played the iconic John Williams theme song behind it.
It was crazy.
Like, okay, if this is supposed to be its own readaptation of the books, then why are you playing the movie theme? If it's meant to be disconnected from that, that just shows marketing confusion right there.
Brendan, you're hitting my point exactly. Then why the hell would I wait 5-10 years when I can just go watch the movies in a weekend and I'd be done with this story? It makes no sense to do it. Jay, you're probably right because people are simple to watch it.
So many people watch it. You know what it's got? Yeah. You know what it's got the energy of now that
people will
hate
it? Watch it.
It's got the energy of the live action Disney remix.
Yep,
that's what.
That's exactly the point.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And it'll make a lot of money, but ultimately, it'll still. There's no point to it.
Nobody is going to revisit the Will Smith Aladdin movie. They're going to go watch the animated movie.
Yeah, exactly. But that movie still made $1 billion.
Yeah,
to your point, I guess. Yeah,
Guy Ritchie, man. It got him money. It got him the clout for Wrath of Man. So thank you, Disney.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess for something quickly, or at least something more positive on the subject of Max before we close out this conversation, out of the announcements that we saw and some of the trailers that we saw, the Penguin actually looks pretty good. I didn't have much expectation for that, but the Penguin, as far as the marketing that we've seen thus far, I think it looks pretty interesting. I think it looks pretty good.
I had forgot about that because like my mind was like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. actually wants to not just make Marvel movies and Doolittle anymore. He actually wants to work with interesting directors. And who's a more interesting director than Park Chan-wook? He's making a television series? Sign me the hell up. Why is that television series coming out in 2024? That thing looks ready. What I'm saying is, Brendan, give me that television show right now. Please inject it into my veins. But yeah, I think the Penguin does look good. I mean, I saw that, what was it, like the Batman saga is what that's
Something
what they
like
said, the
that.
continuation
Yeah.
of that, which gives me a little bit of hope that they're gonna let Matt Reeves not have to, because there was these rumors of like interconnecting his story to like the new James Gunn universe. Just let this
Yeah.
universe stay how it is. The first movie was really good. This looks very promising. I like that Colin Farrell's getting like a little bit of a mini series to flesh out this character.
Mhm.
Just let this thing be its own thing and let the other thing. You can have both of those, because like Jay just said about Harry Potter, these people are going to go see all the, if you released a Batman movie a month, people will see that, because it is one of
Yeah.
those existing
How much money
properties.
did the Batman make?
I think that made like, did it make like
It did
400 million?
okay, right?
Did
I
they
don't
do
think
like
it
4
did
or
that much.
5?
Maybe.
How did that do? I
Oh,
honestly don't
it did a lot
even
better than I
know.
thought. 770.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it did pretty good for a 3-hour
Rest-
movie.
For a 3-hour movie in March. I rest
Yeah.
my case. Good
Yeah.
for it.
Coming off the heels of a pandemic.
Yeah. Good stuff there. So when I say good
Before
stuff there, I'm
Gremlins,
mostly referring.
Gremlins, Secret of the Mogwai. Get excited.
That actually looks pretty interesting. I'll give that some credit where credit is due. But yeah, as we talked about, not the biggest fans of the overall rebranding strategy here, but there might be some content here we at least have some interest in.